Hey, what's going on there, my friends? This is Dave Wood. I wanted to do a video for all of you and to tell you that I care about you and that I'm excited that you're watching this now and paying attention to every second of this video to just find out what's around the corner, to maybe just find out what the next story is, to maybe just listen to some kind of deep insight that can change your life. And of course, I encourage you, if you make a decision to do this now, to simply share this video with 5 people that you know and tell them the kingdom of Elohim is here. I don't really understand it yet, but I'm getting there. So this all started a while ago. When did it start? It started when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I learned to grow things real fast. I learned to grow things in a pretty steady way too. I learned to build teams back when I was young, I learned to market when I was young. I started studying marketing really when I was like 12 years old. I started studying sales really when I was, I think, about 18. I really started because I really started selling. I was studying before that, but I really started selling when I was about 18 years old. That's when I got into action mode. I was in learning mode for a long time, and then I got into action mode, and I really studied the art of sales. I really studied the art of persuasion, and I really studied the art of love, and I really studied the art of spirituality. I always actually was studying spirituality in my life. When I was a kid, I used to, I was in the church I was raised in, and then I also used to read like Carlos Castaneda's books and like how to astral project, and I used to buy meditation courses. So I could astral project when I was like, I think probably I could do it when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old. I could do it. And astral projection is really interesting, actually. If you've never done it, I've talked to a lot of Christians that think that that's like from the dark side or whatever, but it really is just a function of your consciousness. People can astral project and they can go to one place, and they can astral project and they can go to another place. And it's not, your spirit is not really leaving your body when you astral project. You're creating a construct. Think about it like a construct in the Matrix, like where there's that scene where Neo is sitting there in that white room and like he imagines what he wants and then it shows up. That's kind of like what astral projection can do. And it's very easy to do, actually, if you just imagine yourself like climbing out of. And I'm not going to explain that in this video. I might explain it in another. So anyways, I was very into spirituality. And I was always interested in spirituality. Then, of course, my life, I had all my amazing experiences I've talked about in other videos and stuff like that happen. My born-again experience was, up to that point, the most important spiritual experience I'd ever had in my life. Maybe other than being born. But it's up there, you know what I mean? And then, later, of course, I had supernatural cloud appear above my house that made world news, and I had 15 visions a day, and then the people I talked to started getting visions. So it actually wasn't just me getting visions. Like, I was having visions, and then I would just talk to people, and they were literally like all having visions. Like, I'd go to an event and I would just speak. Everybody was having visions, and I was having this massive weirdness happen from like people taking photos of me and my body being in like 2 places and stuff like this, and all sorts of this when that cloud appeared above my house. And so then, of course, there was my major spiritual awakening, my crown chakra opening, the first real phase of my enlightenment, I'd say, because enlightenment is a continual process. And that was, to me, the most powerful experience I'd ever had in my life. The reason is because I understood all the rest of the experiences. The reason is because I understood all the rest of karma. The reason is because I understood my mission. The reason is because I understood where my future's headed. And I knew something when that happened, like without anybody needing to tell me, without ever seeing a vision about it. I knew we don't have any time left. Not any real time. You say, well, it's been a couple of years. A couple of years is not a lot of time. Okay. 50 years is not a lot of time, right? Whatever that means, we don't have a lot of time left. And I knew that then, and I knew who I was then, and I knew what my mission was then, and I knew everything that I ever will know all at once. That's the beautiful thing about enlightenment. You say, what do you mean? Don't you grow in knowledge? Of course you grow in knowledge, but all the knowledge is stored in your genetics. All the knowledge is stored in your biology. All the knowledge is stored in your spirit, past, present, and future. And so when you have access to all knowledge, it opens up a new can of worms. So in any case, that leads us to the next couple of years after that, where I had some major joyous times and some major struggles, struggles conveying my message, struggles trying to figure out a way to speak this into people in a way that they understand with their language according to their learning. And, then I kind of stumbled across what I'd stumbled across a long time ago, that people need to be influenced in the way that they want to be influenced, and not everybody's ready for one thing or the other. Like the other day, I had an experience where I was talking to somebody, and I was giving them some great value, and they hung up the phone on me. I was like, and I they wanted to be there. They asked me for the meeting. And it was disrespectful of me, but they also I'd highlighted something inside of them that was angry, very angry, and that angry part inside of them was not ready to hear what I was saying, right? And this is a state where a lot of humanity is right now, is that the truth is going to be evident whether or not they want it very soon. In a very soon date. I don't know when, but I know soon. And when the truth is going to become evident and right in their face, they're still not going to be ready for it. And they will have. So there's all sorts of things going on in society, and there's things that go on inside people's hearts where they're like, how in the world can we unify together to really convey each other, to really help each other to get to the next level? So where do you fit into this? Is the question. Well, my question for you is, what are the 5 things that you would do, have, or become if time and money weren't an issue for you? I mean, would you go to the beach every single day? Would you go on a vacation once a month? Once every 3 months? Would you build one business, then build another, then build another? Or would you just make your money and go off and buy Half Moon Island out in the Bahamas? Little island you can have to yourself, and live out there with your family and fish, kind of away from everything and all the drama. Is that what you would do? What would you do? What are the 5 things you would do, you would have, or you'd become if time and money weren't an issue for you? How would your life change if you suddenly, like that, could get what you want? Like, in a new kind of way, in a kind of way that is congruent with who you are as a person, in a kind of way that's going to last for the next 1,000 years, in a kind of way that is doing something that's delivering real value to society. What would you do, have, or become if time and money were an issue for you like that? Now, it's not just about time and money. It's about resources. What resource relationships do you want in your life? What kind of relationships, what kind of resources do you truly want in your life? I think that too many people, they go through their life and they never really get clear on what they want and what they actually need and what they're actually missing right now. It's like, okay, I want this, I need this, but what am I missing right now to get going? You ever ask yourself that question? Okay. So let me describe to you what really what's going to happen. Let me describe to you what is really going to get society to the next level. And then let me talk about what's in it for you as we go through this story. First of all, I want you to ask a question. I want you to ask a question, and the question is it possible that all this stuff Dave Wood's saying is true? I'll tell you, many of my friends tell me it's possible, and many others believe it. Okay, and then there's some that are like, oh, that can't happen. And really, though, they're stuck in their own ways, in their own possibilities. And I'm not confined by their prisons of thinking and thought. Right? Somebody says to me, Dave, this stuff that you say sounds out there. And I say, it is out there. But just because something sounds out there doesn't mean that it's not actually the way that it is. Actually, when quantum theory first came out, quantum theory, actually, everybody looked at it. Einstein said God doesn't play dice. That's too out there. And then they proved that consciousness, human consciousness, interacts with the subatomic world in a very real and a very tangible level, provable through scientific experiments. You know, people used to think the world was flat and like it was held up by a turtle. And then all of a sudden, somebody sailed around the world and they proved a different theory. And funny enough, a bunch of other people still think the world is flat. My friend Matthew's one of them. Right? My point is that you never really know what is the truth, except for in certain contexts. The Holy Spirit can give people witnesses of the truth. By the holy power of the Holy Spirit, you may know the truth of all things. The Holy Spirit is there to comfort, to bear witness, to teach you the truth of all things, to bring all things to your remembrance. Whatsoever I've said unto you, that's what the Son says. The Holy Spirit is one way to really know the truth. And this is like an intuitive knowing in your heart and in your mind, and a peace. And Jesus also said, by their fruits you shall know. He said, if you don't know a person by their teachings, you know a person by their fruits. Okay? And what are the fruits? Love, joy, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, peace. Against such there's no law. Right? So you don't know a person by their teachings. You know a person by their fruits. So Jesus also said, if any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. That's what he said. So there's many ways you can distinguish and know the truth, especially over a period of time. But the reality is, the truth of all things is before you. Right now, watching this video, and within you. The truth of all things is within you, and it's before you, and it's behind you, and it surrounds you round about with love. The truth of all things, there's this David Icke thing that he wrote. It's a book. And it's called Infinite Love is the Only Truth. Everything else is illusion. And do I agree with everything in that book? No, because a lot of it came from shamanic knowledge, and it's off. And it's polluted knowledge, at least for a man. But infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. Now, fundamentally, this is actually true. Okay? At a fundamental core level. The truth of all things is infinite love, and everything is an illusion of reality maintained by various reality maintenance systems. Whatever you want to believe those systems are is really up to you. My question is how do you think reality is maintained? You say, well, most people would say, I pulled this apple and, this is an apple. It's a real apple. It's in my hand. And I would say, yes, it's a real apple. It's in your hand. It's in my hand. But is this apple also in the screen? Is it also in the mirror? When does the illusion stop and when does the reality begin of the apple? Right? And so all these things are put into place by, in my worldview, and this would have been Buddha's worldview as well, and the worldview pretty much of enlightened people, and they don't really understand all the consciousness systems. They just understand that there are systems that are there and maintaining reality. I talked about this in a previous video where I was talking about the city of New Jerusalem, and there's a thing called simulation theory that says we're all in a computer simulation. Now, interestingly enough, we have something now called the Bible Code, where there's like all these weird hidden messages in the Torah that you can look through Bible Code software and you can get, and it's really all over the Bible, but particularly the Torah. We're talking, it's got names and dates of all sorts of major world events in there. Also, it's very bizarre. Like the chances of all that stuff being in one thing is just, it's the weirdest thing anybody has ever encountered. The Bible is, right? The Bible code, one of the things the Bible code says, interestingly enough, is it says the Bible code, or the Torah or the Bible, was written by a computer. Now, isn't that interesting, right? Now, my suggestion to you is that the Torah is part of the reality maintenance system. Now, what does this have to do with this video? Well, when you have a reality system in place, it keeps reality fixed in sequence according to the thoughts and the desires of your heart. So you think about this apple and you eat the apple, you throw it away, you take action in it, you put energy into it, it puts energy into your body, you put energy into it. And you're taking and you're absorbing this energy, this nutrition of consciousness into your body, into your soul. Okay? And so your consciousness is interacting with the consciousness of the apple. The same thing happens when you imagine anything. You know, when you see an apple, you imagine very quickly, your unconscious mind will imagine picking it up and eat it, and then you do it. And usually in that order. People think they're acting just on impulses, but really there's very fast unconscious processes that are happening that relay and overlay programs on the consciousness that make us create all of our behaviors. This is like, you know, you have the ant and the elephant, the concept of the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, right? The unconscious mind would be the elephant, the ant would be the conscious mind. That's the ratio, right, for generally people. And this is actually very, very different for people that have been through an enlightenment experience, right? They have more access to their unconscious mind than most people do. Really, they have one mind. So what happens is how do you create something you want? Well, you visualize it with a lot of emotional intensity. Okay? You put a lot of emotional energy into it. You put your visualization into it. You speak what you want from your heart. From the abundance of the heart flows the tongue. And then from speaking what you want and putting all your visualization into it, right? What happens is this creates an energetic imprint on the outside world. This energetic imprint that is created on the outside world then starts interacting with all the electrical energy and all of the quantum mechanical energy and the consciousness from all the people around you. So just think of all the consciousness around you. And then that consciousness creates an energetic field like a hologram. And that hologram of think about it like a hologram of electricity that's connected to everything, works together to pull you exactly what you want in the way that you need it to happen in order to accomplish exactly what's in your heart. The only real limitation for manifestation is faith. Jesus taught that. So a lot of people are like, well, there's reality limits on manifestation. And they say there's reality limits on it. And then you read a story where somebody's blind and Jesus spits in the dirt and puts it in somebody's eyes, screams, looking up, and then the person can see. This is a reality manifestation strategy, okay, that's putting a lot of energy and a lot of electrical energy, right? Really, the key to manifestation is really electricity in the body. That's what manifests as emotion, right? And then what happens is that thing that you've been imagining and holding in your consciousness, it winds up happening. And the more emotional energy you put into it in the front end, and then the more work and the more words you speak into it, the more likely it is to happen until it reaches a point where it starts catching momentum. And when the idea starts catching momentum because the idea has come, the time for the idea has come, when the idea that you've got starts creating and catching momentum in society, okay, it grows and grows and grows until it fills the entire field of vision that you created first in your unconscious. So your unconscious and conscious mind working together to see this massive reality manifestation. I want this new future. I want this new car. I want this new house. I want this new society. I want this new kind of country. I want this new kind of family. I want this new kind of peace. I want this new kind, whatever it is that you want. You're imagining it, and then you've got an internal reality manifestation strategy, okay, that then you are putting electrical energy into, and then that's interacting with the hologram in the universe. Let me explain the hologram. A holographic paper works like this. If you take a holographic paper and you shine 2 lasers on it, it'll produce a 3-dimensional image somehow. And I don't know exactly how that works. Here's what I do know. What I do know is that if you remove any part of that hologram, the whole hologram is still there. So you can remove half of it and it's still there, but it's like half as strong of a hologram. So the whole hologram is still there. If there's a hologram of an apple, the whole apple will still be there. It's just more faded, right? Now your brain, Carl Pribram proved that your brain stores memories like this. So you have electrical memory, which is reflex connections. This is one system interacting with another system in the brain. So for example, you write and see something, and you form language and words patterns that are automatic that you speak your whole life. And they're from reflexes from hardwired information in the brain. And then what you've also got in addition to that, right, you've got holographic memory. Holographic memory, okay, is visual memory essentially, is what it is. But really, holographic memory works faster and better if it uses a lot of representational systems for a lot of people. If it uses like emotion, color, sex, things like this. And this is why you see people's faces and you remember their face, but you don't remember their name because there's not a reflex between the word and their face. The reflex takes a few days to form. The image of their face actually forms very quickly. So then mnemonists and memory trainers, they teach you to make little associations with people's names to connect them to the person. And that way, when you see the person, the visual association is created because that's very easy and fast to do. And then you remember the name. This is what mnemonics does, right? So when you have a hologram inside your unconscious and inside your conscious and unconscious mind, that hologram creates your external reality. It co-creates the external hologram. So you have an internal hologram and you have an external hologram. You are a representation of the hologram of the universe. The universe is a representation of the hologram of you. We're all one, right? In that way. So you have a hologram of electrical energy. And then what you do is you put all your heart and all your emotion and all your thought into the hologram of electrical energy. And then what happens is the idea starts to take form. And more difficult than complex ideas take longer usually to take form because they're more difficult, they're more complex, they're bigger. Very small visions are actually quite easy to accomplish for the unconscious mind, in the conscious mind, because when you're unconscious and you basically are in a situation where you have this desire in your heart to create something, what happens is all your systems and all your energy starts working together in this driven message to bring something to pass that's inside your heart from the inside to the outside world. Okay? And so how do you then interact and make your hologram interact with other people? It's actually quite simple to do. And the way that you do that is by speaking your vision and speaking your vision and speaking your vision and speaking your vision and speaking your vision into others. And then also taking time to study, taking time to think, taking time to really get your internal landscape right. So if you just imagine with me for a second as you're watching this video, imagine you're walking down streets that are paved with gold. Like society's so wealthy. Like imagine your foot moving slowly and the gold is not too hot because it's like the perfect temperature. And you're walking along and the streets are paved with gold. What does it feel like to look around and there's new kinds of species and new kinds of trees and new kinds of bugs and there's people that are flying? And now all of a sudden you're imagining with me maybe being in heaven. Maybe you're imagining the spirit world. Maybe you're imagining something that will happen in the near future. But you've got something that's inside your heart, that's inside your mind. Now you have a vision for that. Now you're speaking and now you are saying, I would really like this, but I don't know if necessarily this is possible. See, the visionary on the front end, they're the person who stands up and says, it doesn't matter if this is actually possible or not right now, because it will be because of me, right? It will be because of us together. It'll be because we do it together. That's what's going to make it possible. So you start conveying and you start speaking your vision into other people. And what happens is you speak your vision into other people is their hearts get excited and their heart energy begins linking with your heart energy and you start forming a hologram an electrical energy field between you and all of the people that you're interacting with connected to your vision. And then what happens is certain people start believing in your vision over a period of time. And I'm going to tell you something that is very important. It doesn't matter when you have a vision if people believe in it initially. What matters is that you believe in it and maybe your mentor believes in it, okay? And your higher power believes in it. If you believe in your vision right in the front end, this is actually how to get things done in a big way. When you believe in your vision, you're going to get things done in a really big way. When you believe in your vision, you're going to get things done in a big way. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, when you believe in your vision, okay, you're actually believing in yourself and your ability to help co-execute, to co-create this vision. When you unify with somebody else's vision, who's bigger than yours, and your vision fits inside their vision, that's a good place to unify. See, I learned a long time ago that if you want to attract people and keep them around for a very long time, okay, that you need a vision that keeps their vision excited, that keeps their vision growing, and your vision always needs to stay ahead of theirs. Your systems always need to stay ahead of theirs. Your thinking always needs to stay ahead of theirs. It's very important, actually, over a long period of time, if you're working with people, that you've always got a place for them inside your heart, inside your mind, inside of what you're doing. Because this keeps people connected and wanting to be around you. Does this make sense to you? So let me give you some examples, okay? You could look in religious history. You could look at somebody like Jesus. He gets 12 apostles together. He says, this is what we're going to do. Then he speaks life into them and speaks life into them and speaks life into them and he speaks life into them until those 12, right, are trained up in the way that they should go. And then they go out there and they do things and they get their own followers. And now all of a sudden, their movement is taking form, it is growing, and it's exponentially expanding, right? And how do movements really get started? They get started from belief. There is always a thing that exists in society. There's always a thing that exists in society where people, they want something, but they don't really believe they can have it. Like they're like, oh, that can happen to me one day, but they never step into their power and say, it's going to happen for me right now. Right? They never step into their power and they never say it's going to happen no matter what. That's it, period, right now, because I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And when they start doing that, and when they start unifying with other people that do that, what happens is in a very short period of time, they create something called social proof. Social proof are the stories of the miracles of the system, of the thing, of the product, of the vision. Really, they're miracles of the vision. That's what social proof is. It's a miracle of the vision. And so what happens is, what's social proof? Social proof is other people doing it, other people buying it, other people selling it, other people edifying it, and other people saying it's true, other people getting results, other people telling stories about how you changed their life. Okay? All these things are elements of social proof. The reality is that none of us have the ability to go out and to build an empire on our own without anybody else there. Great visions require teamwork. They require people working together. They require people putting their issues aside and saying, how can we unify in such a way as to get the job done in a way that unifies all the peoples of the earth to create peace? See, nobody's done that yet. I'll tell you, the person I see right now doing the best job, one of the best jobs I've ever seen anyways, there's a handful of them, of creating peace. I'd say I'd look at the Pope, right? I did a great video about the Pope the other day. and the title of the video is I got to upload it. But the title of the video is Pope Francis the Antichrist, or is he a good Christian man that's getting people to work together? And so he's doing all this stuff. Like, for example, he just went and signed an agreement with the Islamic nation to work together. Essentially, they want to help create Palestine, which the Jesus in the Quran, which is a different Jesus that's in the New Testament, was a Palestinian Muslim, and that Jesus in particular, the Palestinian one, was black, actually. Paul, if you see this. But he was a Palestinian Muslim. That's what it says in the Quran. And a lot of people, they look at that and they're like, well, the Bible says Jesus is from this other place, but there's a lot of people out there named Jesus. So we got to keep this in mind. It's very clear that they're different people. But the Pope, this is my point. The Pope, he goes out, okay, and proactively seeks conflict resolution between the two biggest problematic nations that there are. So he goes and he says, okay, the Islamic people want this, the Jewish nation wants this, I want this, the Mormons want this, the Christians got this. How can we actually work together and get this done? I see no malice and no evil in his heart whatsoever. I think there's been some evil popes, and I don't think that he's one of them. But he's doing a fantastic job. What is he doing? He's bringing peoples together and speaking with the leaders of various different kinds of organizations, okay? This is how to create peace between nations, actually, strategies like this. How do we get everyone working together? How do we get the Islamic nation working together with the Christian nation, working together with the Jewish nation, working together with the Buddhist nation, working together with everyone? It's in all of our best interest to work together now, right? I'm not talking about right for now. I'm talking about for all of the future of humanity. It is in our best interest to decide to work together and to put our issues and our conflicts in the past. I want you guys to notice something. Like, when you were in the peak of the culture that we had back in power, and this is not the peak of the culture that I'll build, I promise you that. Okay? Have you ever seen a group of people more unified with a common message in network marketing than that group of people at our peak? Never, ever, ever, ever was there anything like it. Ever. Okay? That grew that size, that was on that pattern, that could have gotten as big as it could have gotten. Now, we all can learn from the past and we can learn from history. I am very good at unifying people, and the reason is because I love all people. And I think the last couple of years, I've had some situations where people have been scared of the unity because they don't understand really what I'm doing and really what I'm about, and really what it is that, like, what is my mission really? And I'd say I really didn't do a good job communicating that, so I'm sorry. I'm doing a better job now. Still not doing a perfect job, but I'm doing a much better job at communicating to you. I need some more. I'm doing a much better job communicating my message to you than I've ever done in the past, okay? With this. I've done great jobs at communicating messages. Let me tell you how my organization is going to grow like a stone rolling on a mountain without hands. First of all, I got to get to a place where I've got a way of conveying the message and a way of conveying the offer that is attractive to the masses, right? Not just the intelligent, not just people of the stuff that I'm talking about, but it's attractive. It's an attractive message to the masses, and I'm not there yet. That's the number one thing I got to figure out. Number two thing is I got to start bringing in some people, maybe 1 to 3 people a day, and they'll be soon. And then moving them through my process and tweaking the process as I'm bringing people in and as I'm training those people. The next thing that we need to do is we need to start having lots of messages on the front end from different personalities and from different people, from different spiritual messages. Same back end, one front end. And then we all start working together in that way, right? Because people will promote the offer that they're interested in. People will promote the offer that they believe in. And then we start unifying people of all sorts of various different beliefs. The next phase is getting some money together. And from the money that we get together, right, doing some research. A lot of research needs to be done with me in particular. Genetic research, biological research. And this is actually very important to all of humanity that this is done. And I've been very disappointed that I have had, in my opinion, the most important message that has hit humanity in the last 2,000 years, vastly ignored by people that I know with lots of money who have not been willing to help me out with the research. I think that it is a disappointing thing to all of humanity. And my friends might say, well, why don't you make the money and do the research yourself? Because this is not how I function. If I made money and people weren't giving money to the research, I probably wouldn't even do the research. I'd probably wait until people stop being wussies and go support my family and just ignore it for a while, because I'm here to get people working together. And that shows me that humanity in general has a great problem with lack of faith in the ability really of the world to change, which is a major problem because the world is changing anyway, regardless of whether we believe it's changing. And the fact that people are so stuck in their box of thinking that they don't think that there's any other prophet but their prophet that can have truth. They don't think that there is any other pastor but their pastor who can speak the truth. They don't think that there's any other guru other than their guru that knows it all. They don't think that anybody has the right beliefs but them. Because everybody's so locked in their box, this has kept society locked, and this is why there is not great miracles happening today on a large, massive scale like there were in the New Testament with the apostles. If I had 12 apostles around me, we could walk into places and people would just start getting younger from just literally walking in the room, right? There's great power in unity, and there's great power in deciding that we're going to work together towards a common vision, towards a common aim, towards common righteousness, without interfering with everybody's ability to choose for themselves and to choose their own path and to choose their own spirituality and to choose their own kingdom and their own queendom and their own vision and their own future. There is great room, okay, for changing everything that we are around in a way that makes everybody more money than they've ever made in their entire life. And I know how to do it, but I need you and I need your help to pull it off. This is the reality. I cannot do what I need to do on my own without you. I can't. Right? I've tried to convey it. I've tried to create it, but the reality is I need your help. I need you behind it. I need you to get over your issues about it and to help it be in a way that we all set up. For example, let me tell you what I'm going to do with the Kingdom of Elohim. I'm going to talk to my family about this too. We're going to have a family reunion. I want to set up the Kingdom of Elohim in a way where we promote all spiritualities. Like, we have an Islamic message. We have a Christian message, a born-again Christian message. We have the Mormon prophet on there. We have the Pope on there. We have enlightened spiritual leaders, like really high-level people, okay? There's only really one Christian person that I think should do that message. That should be, I think Orrin Woodward should orchestrate that, in my opinion. But we could, there's a lot could do. For example, Joel Osteen could have a message on there. It's the Kingdom of Elohim. We set up the Kingdom of Elohim in a way where it's preparing to be essentially a publicly owned ministry where people participate in the wealth of the kingdom at their own level by participating financially, by donating, by serving, right? And really the mission of that kingdom is to spread the teachings of true enlightenment from all spiritual walks of life to all of society, particularly the Torah. The reason is because the Torah, in my opinion, unifies all spiritualities and all spiritualities that are not like from the dark one. They get unified by the Torah because the Torah is something the Christians believe in. The Torah is something that's very similar, for example, to the way I was just reading about the way that the Dalai Lama legal system was over in Tibet, and there were some things that were wrong about it that I don't like about it. The Torah would have been a better legal system for them. Like, I don't like how they weren't letting people do modern medicine, and their life expectancy was only 36 years and stuff like that. But the reality is that they had a legal system that was very strict with laws, and therefore they had peace and they had like no crime there, barely. Right? So but the Torah is a better legal system than what they had in Tibet. Right? The Torah is the best legal system there is. The Torah is the thing that connects the Old Testament to the New Testament. Well, the grace does that, really. It connects, the Torah connects to all of us through Jesus. And the Torah is the true, real teachings of prosperity. All the real laws of prosperity, look, they're not coming really from Abraham Hicks, okay? He's got some good stuff. They come from the Torah. This is actually where the laws of prosperity come from. They come from the Torah. So I'm very interested in teaching the Torah. And I realize not everyone is interested in teaching and learning about the Torah right now. But however, they will be if we work together. And the Torah, for example, if you believe in my weird stuff, the Torah is still there. If you don't believe in my weird stuff and you believe something else, the Torah is still there, right? The Torah unifies all peoples and all spiritualities with the message of righteousness, right? And some people, they're like scared of, I've noticed people are scared of righteousness. They're scared, they're terrified of it. And I understand why. Like, let me give you an example. I've had a very difficult time personally, on a personal level, with people rejecting me in the past, okay, early on in my message. Now, I was doing it too, but they were really doing it too. I had a very difficult emotional time with it because I had a message that I was very excited about, and I just wanted, but why didn't they just ask a question about it or say hello or, you know, something like that? I didn't get it. Of course, I've read all these stories before about all these prophets that did things in these different ways. And the reality is that in all these stories and with all these prophets and with all these beings that did these things in different ways, you know, I've read about it. The prophets have always been persecuted. The Buddha was persecuted. The church I was in was persecuted. All great spiritual leaders go through a phase of intense, very intense persecution. This comes from Arthur Schopenhauer. And I did not react well to that intense persecution. And I made some mistakes, and then I scared some people. And that's okay because it's part of my story, and really, people are actually supposed to be scared of the Messiah. It's actually, you know, part of my job. Because if they're afraid of me, they're not going to step all over me, for example. And they're not going to step all over our nation, and they're not going to step all over the kingdom. And they're not going to do, you know, dumb stuff. Does that make sense? So my point is with all of this, is that all this is going somewhere. Where's it going? It's going to the fulfillment of the end vision, which is eternal. See, my vision now, it stretches on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. For time and all eternity, it stretches on. I never see the end of my vision. Every end I see is only a new beginning. And it's 1,000 trillion times bigger and 1,000 trillion times cooler and 1,000 trillion times more wealthy where I'm looking all the time. So I'm always looking to something towards massive, and my brain has taken a while to comprehend how to convey that in a way that's like, hey, here's what's next. You know what I mean? What's next is this. Let me explain. First, let me explain why you'd want to be involved with the kingdom of Elohim. Number one. You guys all know me well enough to know. You guys all know that, number one, I'm your friend. Okay? Number two, when I'm on something, I don't ever stop until it's finished. Never. In other words, there will never be a moment in my life that goes by where I'm not working towards the accomplishment of my vision, ever, for time and all eternity. I hope you know me well enough to know what I can do. And I see the critics and I see the people starting to believe. I see actually the people are starting to believe is what I see. You'd have never met a person so consistent and so persistent with their own vision and with what they're going to do as I am, in a way that helps people win. That's what you know about me. You know that about me. So what's going to happen is this. I'm going to get a few people. They're going to get a few more. And then the miracles will proceed. With a very small group of people, I can create lots of miracles. We're doing it together. God's doing the miracles through us, and we're doing them through him. Unity. So what will happen is I'll get a small group. The small group will grow a little bigger. The small group will go a little bigger, and then the stories will start to go wild. All I need, for example, to really make my stories go wild is to find somebody who's not a wussy, who's got some serious terminal illness, like stage 4 genetic disease. They come see me with a couple of my believers together. They'll be fine in a week. I promise you that. I went through a phase where I needed people to believe in me. Then I went through a phase where I didn't care at all. And now I'm like, I do need the belief to go to the next level. We all need it. And I need to believe in you, and I believe in you. My point is, can you believe in me now for the goodness? All we need is a few people believing together. And literally, we can wipe disease off the face of the earth, starting one person at a time. It is very easy to create supernatural healings. I do it the way they did it in the New Testament. How's that? Celestial medicines, combined with faith, combined with worship, combined with repentance, combined with energy and intention. Right? Sway James did them. I'm telling you, it's what Jesus did too. Now, what will happen is this. The followers will grow. I'll mentor those followers, that initial group, very, 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 very well. And then we'll start working on fulfilling the vision in a big way together, just like we've always dreamed. Together, doing it together. Then what will happen is a few will get a few. We'll develop systems. We'll figure out what attracts people and what repels them. We'll figure out what gets leads and what doesn't. We'll figure out phone scripts. We'll figure out technology systems. We'll figure out financial processes. We'll get properties. The miracles will breed miracles. The stories will breed stories. The successes will breed successes. The accomplishments will be legendary. And the victories will be otherworldly. Then what will happen is those successes will create more successes. And you'll be in there in your vision. One day, you'll be walking into a home. Maybe it'll be plated with gold. The whole thing. Maybe that's too bright for you, so maybe what you do is you put a mix between little gold nuggets all over the outside of the house, and Your neighborhood's so safe, it's fine to put the gold there. Nobody bothers you. Nobody comes to try to knock it off. One day, you will do things that are beyond your imagination. Like real things that happen in the external world and in your internal world at the same time. Like Buddha used to do. Like Christ used to do. Like Krishna used to do. Like all of them used to do. Like all of them still do if we can see. And your internal world will be your external world, and your external world will be your internal world. And it'll be a new world of new prosperity, of new righteousness, of new holiness, of new victories, of new honor, of new fame. And what will happen is the stories will beget stories. The sales will beget sales. The processes will beget processes. The peoples will unify. They'll get over their nonsense. We'll prove all of it. Right? That's part of my job. Wish we could have done that together a long time ago. You've been waiting for me and I've been waiting for you. It's time for us both to take action. The processes will beget processes. The stories will beget stories. The good karma will beget good karma. The love will beget more love. The honor will beget more honor. The victory will beget more victory. And we unify behind the message of holiness, of grace, of righteousness, of prosperity, of fun, of winning in an entirely new kind of way of winning with new processes that are so good that you can't even imagine how good those processes are. But in order to create that, what do we actually need? We need you to get over your stuff. I've gotten over the stuff that you're experiencing right now a couple years back, okay? And I got over more of it and more of it and more of it and more of it and more of it. I'm pretty much over it. You got to understand, and we got to understand together, that it's more powerful to be unified than it is to be right. I mean, is anybody going to really get mad that I'm wearing a head covering and a thing? They might say, well, I don't know about all this other stuff he says, but he seems like somebody that likes to protect himself and keep humble. You know what I mean? This is what's really all about. Staying humble and submissive. Submission is great power. Submission is great power. You know? A lot of people see submission as somebody like weak muscles, but really submission is like a rider riding a stallion. He's lifting it up, and the stallion is like sending its front legs, and it's making the horse sound, and there's lightning in the background. And the horse rider pulls a sword, and he says, "We march forward in victory." The stallion is in submission to the rider. Submission is very important for prosperity. Submission to your pastor, submission to your higher power, submission to your processes. It's actually very important for everyone to do. And if we don't do it, we lose ourselves immediately. It's like we're out of submission, we lose, boom, like that. So then what'll happen? I cannot wait to start doing real miracles with people again, but doing it in a way, in a safe environment where there's witnesses, where we record it, and where we can share it with people. Okay, while protecting the identities of the customers that I've got. I can't wait to do it. Because my mission is to spread enlightenment to all the peoples and all the nations of the earth in the next 3 to 5 years. And I can't do that, okay, without rock solid people and without rock solid processes and without rock solid teams. And I'm talking about enlightenment in the ways of, like, you think about like Sadhguru, or you think about Gabriel Cousins, or you think about myself. It could be me, it could be them. Same thing. We're all one. The reality is that the teachings of enlightenment break chains off people's spirits and minds to allow them to connect with their higher power in an uninhibited way. And if we do that in a safe environment where people are truly connecting with their higher power and they're truly connecting with the mightiness of God, right? Enlightenment is the most useful thing that exists right now to change humanity, because humanity is problematic in the sense where humanity, what do? We spend, we buy, we sell, we build houses, we rush, running around in circles like chickens with our heads cut off. To do what? To coat the pockets of the central bankers. See, enlightened people they wouldn't allow this to exist. You got to understand that. You say, well, we wouldn't allow it to exist. No, I'm telling you. Until society is enlightened, this stuff will exist. Society has to go through a major spiritual awakening, like right now, in order to create the future that we want to create. I'm talking like right now, we need to go through a major revolutionary, peaceful, spiritual, powerful, righteous, wondrous, loving, grace-filled, honorable, beautiful revolution. We need a revolution where people are willing to throw tee-off boats again. Right now, everybody's scared of the government. They're scared because of like retardedly long jail sentences for absolutely nothing. We've been pinned in corners by the governors and by the presidents and by ourselves. How about that? It's not the Democrats doing it. It's not the Republicans doing it. It's we've been doing it. And I have been awestruck this last couple of years by how many people have not paid attention in detail to the goodness of my message because they disagree with the weird stuff. Like, I got that the meaning of my communication is the result that I get. I have been awestruck by the stupidity of humanity. Like, if Eric Worre and Dan Stamen and Wayne Nugent and Dave Sharp and Chris Jones and Lawrence Tam and Chris Rushlow and my friends stopped being dorkwads in a lot of ways. Excuse the French, guys. I love you guys, and I understand what you're doing, too. I understand you got to protect yourself, too. And you unified the goodness in my message. Every single problem in humanity could be resolved from my solutions in 5 years. 4 years, actually. We could do it. Really 5, because we need a year after I'm done to make sure it's still working without me there. My point is with all this is that it is mental retardation to look at one part of my message, which is my loving weird stuff, and therefore miss. Somebody send this to Eric Worre and Sharp and all these people who I know watch a lot of my videos anyway. So you got to watch this all the way through. It is mental retardation to focus on this tiny thing. Okay? And to ignore all the goodness in what I'm saying. That everybody wins from my goodness. There's nobody in society that will not win from the goodness in my message. Why in the world have I not had one of my friends send me $100,000 and say, let's go test your theories and do some research on what you're saying? It's because they're so locked up in the wickedness of the world and aspired the honors of men that they can't learn this one lesson. And the one lesson is what? That they don't know what they're talking about, just like I don't. I know part of it. They know part of it. Right now, my friends, I'm telling you, my part is actually a bigger part of it. Right? If Eric Worre, you could see that, and Jones, you could see that, and all the people this last year that have ran away like cowards from a hurt friend could see that. Priscilla, if you could see that, okay, which I know you can now, all right? Dad, if you could see that. Mom, if you could see that. Will, if you could see that. We could literally create so much peace and prosperity together. See, I can't work in isolation like this with no financial resources. I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? I made excuses for it for a long time. I'm not making excuses now. I can't function when I don't got my own space where I can work all night and where I can do what I know how to do as a leader that's been building in a way for a long time. I can't even do what I know how to do right now because we're not working together. Right? A long time ago, I needed some of my good friends to say, hey, Dave, let's help you out to get going again. Let me help you spend the money, like real help. I'm not talking about, I had one of my friends, help out and do a little tiny test with a few $100, you know what I mean? A 3-month, $500 help out test, you know what I mean? And it was like, what the hell could we ever possibly do? Ever? Is that the way you launch any of your businesses? Right? No, just the one with me. Right? My point is with that, and I'm thankful for it and things like this, and I learned a lot from that experience too. My point is with this is that I helped a lot of you, and I have been waiting, and I probably shouldn't have done this, for the people that I helped over a period of 10 years to come and actually offer me real help. I'm not talking the help they think I need. I'm talking about real help, which is like, hey, how can we get your message in a way that's impacting people that we can agree with, right? And all work together in creating the peace and the harmony that you're talking about. Like real help. That's real help right there. See, without you, my vision doesn't matter. You got to understand, my vision doesn't actually even matter without you. My vision is you. This is what you got to understand. I've always been like that. I've always had the heart of David. Okay? How in the world could I do this on my own? How in the world could we create peace and prosperity with Dave Wood on a solo thing like this without any of his friends getting over their crap and saying, you know what? I actually do like the things that you're talking about in a lot of regards, not all of it, but like, how can we unite with the goodness? Like, how can we actually work together? Can you get over it already? You know what I mean? Like, the stuff that we could do by uniting together and working together in a common aim with a common vision for the common good is beyond any of your imagination with my ideas. My ideas require an apostle type character like Dave Sharp or Chris Jones to even function. This is why my ideas haven't taken off. I'm telling you, that's why. There's no other reason. It's because they require a real apostle type character who is good at execution, who's got some financial resources, who sees the goodness in it, who wants to help, who says, let me step by your side and make this thing that's in your head happen in the external world. And then I create through the people. This is what I've known how to do for years and for years and for years and for years. And we can create together peace and harmony between all the nations and the peoples of the earth if you listen to what I'm actually saying and the solutions that I'm actually presenting. Let's talk about the practical solutions here for a few minutes. And let's just say you're not you're not a fan of the weird stuff. You got your opinion on it. You're a more practical person. My dad is a more practical person. If you get off your butt, we can save America from complete and utter collapse. Don't you think for a second, because Donald Trump is cleaning up things left and right, that our currency ain't going to hell in a handbasket. It's worse. We have more debt now than we had before. Don't you think, okay? Don't you think that because, we're just going to wait for the president to do it? No. We got to do it together. Listen to what I'm actually saying. Open your mind. Open your ears that you could hear. There's this thing in the Book of Mormon. It says their ears were dull of hearing and their eyes were closed that they could not see. And their hearts were hardened and their minds were shut off or whatever. When your mind is shut off, you need to open your mind. Nobody likes to be closed. Everybody loves to be open. Do you keep your business options open? Here, pay attention to me. How in the world, right, are you guys ever expecting to create any real change in humanity? How in the world can you expect to create any, I'm talking real fantastical change in humanity? Act in the way you jokers have been acting for the last year with my stuff. You're a joke, all of you. You say, well, we're not a joke in our businesses. We make more money than you. I got that. I don't care. My point is, I'm happy for you, okay? And it's temporary. You got to understand that. Look, the reality is this, okay? You're sitting back here like this, and you're like, well, as soon as he stops talking about the crazy stuff, you know, then we'll talk to him and give him a call. As soon as he's doing it my way, which is the only way there ever is, I'll reach out to my brother. And I'll say, how can we help with the goodness in your message? It's an abomination to act and behave like this towards human beings, like what's happened in the past. Let me tell you about a better way to do things. A better way to do things is saying, Dave, what's your intention? To create peace, prosperity, debt-free existence, and what you want. Well, we're helping everybody get what they want. That's basically it. Okay? Okay, do you agree with that? So check this out. The other day I went to a legendary marketer thing, done for you something. I filled out an application. I got all the automatic emails. And then they actually never hit me up on Skype. You know what I mean? That is how much of a coward David Sharp is. Right now. I know you're courageous in your other ways. But you are a coward, brother. Plain and simple. I actually, the only reason, let me tell you, the only reason I filled out that application, because if I wanted to see if my good friend Dave Sharp, who I helped create a new life, who owns that company, would pick up the phone and would call his brother. Oh, wait, hold on. He says wait, no. I want to correct this. Dave Sharp, forgive me. Okay? I made a mistake. He called and went to voicemail. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. So, Dave, you're just as legendary as I thought. My point is, I'll go there and I'll reschedule. Okay? My point is with that, okay, I made a misjudgment there, right? They were actually going to show up, and he tried to call me, but I said I wanted to talk on Skype, so I think he didn't pay attention to the message. I put my Skype ID there. Okay. Why did I put in a thing to go talk to their done-for-you marketing services? Let me actually tell you why I did it. I did it to see if the dude that I helped, and Dave, forgive me for what I said earlier. Everybody forget it, okay? Because I was a misunderstanding, okay? They finally responded. The dude that I helped get on his feet and move out of the shanty he lived in, who was making no money at all, like zero, spending it all on ads, when we started Empower Network together because I believed in him, right? Was willing to stop being a wussy and call his good friend Dave Wood and say, hey, brother, how you doing? That's actually why I set up that appointment. Now I'll see, what else? Hold on, let me go schedule another call. Monday. Oh, this is Monday. No, I can't do that. I'll just tell him. Let's see. Hold on. I'm available now. Monday next week, I head out to a family vacation. Right? Anyway, my point is with this is now I'm talking with somebody in his company. Okay? Never an email. Never a phone call. Never a thank you letter in the mail. Never a thank you video saying, Dave Wood, thank you for changing my life. Ever. In 5 years. Or whatever it's been. 2014. Now it's 2019. This has been 5 years. Okay? And if I don't get it, if he doesn't reach out and say hello, right? And I can't resolve things in a conversation, I'm hitting the lawsuit like none of you can imagine. Because I'm sick of this. I've been trying to resolve this with him in one way or the other for 5 years, right? This is not the way. I'm going to tell you something, World Ventures, right? You guys would be growing so much more fast right now if you would have not dishonored me. You have no idea. You have no idea the kind of ideas I could have brought to your organization. And all you can see is something that was spread to you from lies and deceit from a guy that promised me that what I talked to him about was going to be private, that I was doing to help him when he asked me. And I'll tell you something about it, okay? A lot of things that he did, okay, and that you guys did could be construed as blackmail. Right? Before I did anything. Right? Why am I talking about this in this video? Because all this stuff is going to get resolved as a part of my plan, one way or the other, the hard way or the easy way, it's going to get resolved. The easy way is a conversation. The easy way is not being a wussy and talking to your friend and saying, how can we actually come up with a solution on a conference call that actually works for both sides of this of this story. Right? I'll tell you, World Ventures, that thing that you guys did, I haven't seen my kid in over a year because of your bullshit. What does that cost my son in psychological damage? I can't even describe how much it's cost. That's why I was so mad. It was all I had. That's how you treated your friend that showed up to give you value. You know what? This is not the way of doing it. The way of doing it is peace and working together. I tell you something. I'm going to grow, and 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 I'm going to grow. And if you get left behind, you get left behind, and that's what's going to happen. But you're not going to dishonor me and get away with it. Never again. You're never going to get away with it. I'm never going to allow the past stuff to just stay in the past without resolving it. It's all going to come out. It's all going to get messy if it has to. If it has to get messy, it's going to get messy, and we're going to resolve this one way or the other. You bet your life that it's going to get resolved. And it's going to be resolved. Let me tell you something. If you dishonored me, it's going to get resolved in my favor. And that my favor resolution, if you do it peaceably, is also going to be in your favor because of how much more money it's going to make you to resolve it, because your brands aren't going to be all destroyed when I leak all this information out there in the public and everything like that. And all people are going to see is the lawsuits. That's what's going to happen. And so, look, I'm standing up for myself now. So you take this and take it what you want it to mean. I'm standing up for myself, representing myself, because all my money that I had to represent myself was taken by a company that decided that it was their prerogative to steal from somebody that came in with a good heart that was broken, that came into that organization with a hope of healing his future. Okay? And you believe me and mark my words, they will give that back. They will rectify what has happened. And everybody that is involved with it at all, okay, if they don't rectify things with me somehow, is going to get sued. Every single last person will get sued who's involved with it at all for at least 10% of their income of that company. And you guys, but they could rectify it. They could just hit me up. Right? Andrews Dakin. Hey, I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for asking. This is a rant that was in the middle of a very positive message, okay? But there's a positive ending to it. So this is like this much stuff like this. My point with all this stuff that I'm saying, okay, is that if we got to work together to make the vision that I've got for humanity, which is good in every single way. We're not talking about my weird doctrine and everybody believing in that. We're talking about my vision for humanity is unlike anything any of you have ever heard in your life. And we got to stop this thing where the societies are not paying attention to it because they don't agree with like this. It's like a buffet where you got this a little thing over here you disagree with. And so it's like, I'm not going to eat anything in the buffet all of a sudden. This is the most mentally retarded behavior I have ever experienced in my entire life. From any group of people I've ever met, and from the smartest people that I've ever met, it is mental retardation, right? If we had gotten together a year ago and had said, what's the good in this message, right? I would have, my heart would have just immediately jumped up because I'd been like, look, this is all I'm trying to do, right? How can we work together and make it happen? Okay? We could be saving 100,000 lives a day. You know what I mean? Like we could literally right now be doing $1 billion a week in sales. Like if we had just gotten together and said, how can we figure this out? Right? We could be doing $1 billion a day in sales right now. Right? That's how much we could be doing. $1 billion a week. Let's say $1 billion a week. We'd be on our way to having $1 trillion organization if we had gotten together a year ago and said, look, all this goodness in your message, okay, I disagree with this and this and this. We do this in a way that honors all of our beliefs. right? And I would have been like, this is some ideas. Let me give you some of your ideas. Let me get some of your ideas. Let's get all of our ideas together. Let's work together, right? What the purpose of life is, and the purpose of vision is, and the purpose of relationships is working together, right? It's working together. This is what the purpose of all of it is, right? Let me tell you something, okay? I reached out in about 400 different ways, and this is I know the Mormon guys, they watch my stuff, right? I reached out like 400 different ways to try to reach Russell M. Nelson, and nobody would even pass my message along. My dad wouldn't pass it to the brethren. My bishop wouldn't pass it to the next person, right? I tried contacting their press department. I finally sent him a copy of my book. I haven't gotten a phone call. You know what I mean? And I realize that he's going around and doing a lot of stuff, right? And I realize that the Mormon church has this process of getting to people. I could have helped that church add 30 to 40 to 50% more members than it's adding right now if they would have talked to me and asked me how to do it like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, right? They would have contacted me because they knew about me then. And they would have said, you know, how can you help us? I would have said, here's some strategies. Let me take my brain and get into a room of all your marketers and with all the people here and tell you how to make this church grow 5,000 times faster than it's growing right now. Right? I could do that with any organization right now, and my ideas would work as they are. They'd come out of the box, and if they did them that way, they'd work every time because I'm going into an environment where there's resources. You know what I mean? Like I could go into World Ventures, okay? I could spend 2 hours just dictating word for word without any need of preparation of exactly what they could do. They could break it down into strategies, and their company would grow like 5 times faster from doing it exactly that way. You say, well, why don't you do it that way? I am not a person who can operate like this as a solo person without people stepping up and being cowards and running and fleeing in every direction. Like they're these people, they're like the Pharisees and the Sadducees in the New Testament, fleeing from Jesus. This is what they're doing. And I'm like, man, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out my messaging out. I got that. I got my messaging needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But we're not. This is just the biggest cowardice I've ever seen in my whole life, right? If I get people working together, right? There's nobody in the world, nobody that has ever existed, nobody that knows how to unify people like I know how to unify people. There are 0 people that exist that know how to do it. But I need your help to be able to do it, to get rid of war, to get rid of fighting, to get rid of all this disrespect of nature, to get rid of the disrespect and keep businesses prospering at the same time. I need your help in order to be able to do it. I can't do it on my own. Do you guys get that? And when I start talking about this stuff, people, they drop off. They don't pay attention to it. But you need to pay attention to what I'm saying. If my energy is too powerful for you to handle, just realize your energy is not there yet. And if your darkness is coming up because of something that I'm saying, don't you blame me for the darkness that's inside your heart. Okay? Don't you blame me. Don't you be blaming me for the darkness that is inside your heart. Because I scare you. Because I'm talking about something that's my truth. Look, I can talk about my truth and my truth and my truth and our truth together. The reality is that if something that I says scares you, okay, maybe there's a reason why that's scaring you that's not from me. Maybe that reason is actually there's something in you that doesn't like what I'm saying. Because maybe, just maybe, I want to think about this for a second. Maybe my heart is a little bit more pure than your heart is right now. Maybe it's not. I think actually for the vast majority of you, it is. It says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And I'll tell you, my heart is pure. My heart is purer than any heart that you've ever been around in your entire life. Okay? With all the drama and with all the stuff this last year, hey, look, I'm at least honest with stuff. Okay? My heart is a pure, loving heart. Okay? And if we work together, I'm telling you something. The amount of wonders that we can do in the world, in the name of your higher power, is what I'm all about, is beyond any of your imaginations. But I can't do that in this isolated environment, okay, where people are not willing to step up and to get over their bullcrap and to say, how can I help and be a part of it? You know what I mean? Like good commitments. Like I'm going to work with you for the next year on this. As much as I can, all day and night, I'm going to work. Everything that I can do to help you build the kingdom, I'm going to do. But I'm not going to go violate my beliefs, and I don't believe this, and I don't believe that, and I believe this part maybe, but I don't know about a lot of it. But what I know is I know that you got a website called the Kingdom of Elohim, and that's prophesied about in the book of Daniel. How could I help? I mean, come on. How did I even get that domain? With all the Christian churches and stuff out there, it's because it was meant for me. That's why. Look, I'm done with my rant. I appreciate you. Anders, I'm doing well. Can you guys share this with some people you know? Share it with 5 people you know. And look, how are you going to profit from that? Well, I'm not going to tell you all the ways that you're going to profit because I don't want anybody knocking off my best idea before I get it going. We're going to own so much stuff, it's going to be ridiculous. I'll tell you that. We're going to own more stuff than anybody owns. Together, but we all own it. It'll be the kingdom stuff. And we can all participate in its use and its prosperity. But I can't do that without your help. I can't do that without you getting over your stuff, without you getting over your fear. Look, I got over my fear this last year. I was really afraid. You want to know why I was afraid? I was afraid because my wife left me. I was afraid because I didn't see my kids. I was afraid because I had one asset and it got stolen. I was afraid because for a while my family wouldn't even put me up. I was afraid from that. I was afraid for humanity. That's why I did what I did. I had a hurt in my heart. Like you guys can't imagine the amount of pain you guys put me through. So I put you through some pain. But what did you do? Get that part of me out because that's not who I was when I showed up to the World Ventures headquarters. That's not who I was when I brought Dave Sharp into my fold. And I said, let me help you out, brother. You understand? Maybe you understand a little bit more. Maybe I need to stand up for myself in order for you to understand. That's what I'm willing to do now. I wasn't willing to do. I didn't understand how to do it before. I just thought people were just good because I was raised in a family with no abuse. Priscilla, listen to me. I was raised in a family where I never got abused ever in my life. Not even a single time did I get abused. And my parents, they just worked things out. That's how I was raised. That's what I was raised in. That's what I grew up in. I grew up in righteousness. Where people work together, where people don't hide behind lawyers all the time. My dad was a lawyer. He didn't hide behind lawyers. He resolved problems himself. This is how we're going to grow with a stone roll off mountain thorns. Resolving the problems internally, externally. Setting things straight, moving forward. And then working together in a unified message in order to set reality and set the world in the right direction. Love y'all.